Boom. Peace. Good evening. We're live. Just getting it together in the evening. We're tired. It's just a little bit different than it usually is. Usually you catch me in the morning. I'm usually live. Good evening, baby. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah.
We're tired and we're here, but we got the good vibes.
We got the vibes. Good.
It's an hour and a half past when we said we do this, but we're gonna talk about executive function tonight.
We are. It's been a long day. I had to catch a nap. I've been up since crack of dawn, and we both been going hard today, and we didn't want to show up on camera not on point, not with the right energy. So we gave ourselves some grace, gave ourselves some time, and realized that this isn't one of those things that has to be urgent. This is just getting a message out, kind of giving an update to everybody, and giving grace just like we would expect somebody else to extend to themselves in a moment like this.
Or would hope that they would, because we're learning about expectations too. So we're giving ourselves the grace that we'd like to receive, and the grace that we would very graciously give to others. We're extending it to ourselves.
You're right. Well said, babe. But yeah, we want to do a couple things. We want to touch base because I know we haven't done a real touch base. We've never done a live. This is the first time doing a live as HFR, right?
Yeah, first live as HFR. I think. So, yeah.
But we wanted to do one to give an update on kind of a recap of the close for last year because we closed last year on.
The mic is on, right?
Yeah, the mic's on.
Okay.
Yeah, big. But we closed last year on a somewhat somber note, really, right?
Yeah, it was definitely somewhat somber, at least the last few things that was shared. Actually, the last thing that was shared was a production we did for a poetry piece, 2 poetry pieces of mine. Those were the last 2 pieces of content you saw, but that was more about us, and what we were doing in our personal arts bag versus as for the HFR community side of things. So this is more so for the HFR team network community side of things.
Yeah, great way of saying it. Good way. Good way of looking at it. We've both continued to art and do what we each do in our own pockets, but HFR, as far as HFR, I think we both kind of pushed back from the table for a minute after the crowdfund. I think that crowdfund.
We're a bit disillusioned, and some of it from our own misunderstanding and not knowing how to go about doing something like that. It was our first time doing something like that, so there were some steps and some things that we missed learning that are important to do when setting out to do something like a crowdfund, especially given the platform that we chose. And so with several of those things combined, mixed with the things we had going on in our own personal life, which the crowdfund was pretty much about, and then I was in the process of finishing yoga teacher training. There was just a lot going on, and we were very overwhelmed, and so it was kind of a crash and burn.
Yeah, it was definitely a crash and burn. And I didn't go into the crowdfund feeling good about that to begin with. I mean, it's very hard for us to ask for help,
especially monetarily.
Yeah, us as a couple, me as a person who's always kind of handled his own business and hasn't needed to ask for help in the past. That was very hard for me, and also because I think I kind of walked into it with a feeling of kind of knowing that we didn't have the community built up that we needed to do something like that. So I walked in with a lot of doubt to begin with, to be honest. I think that all weighed on me, and I walked into it with a lot of uncertainty, and that energy it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel right to me at the time. Any other reasons why on the crowdfunding? Am I forgetting something?
I
Anything?
think that, and then I think that energy translated. We were very disjointed in how we were going about it. Because he had reserves about it, it made we weren't operating as a well-oiled unit. And as we saw the results of that, we were saddened and disillusioned by that. And so yeah, it was one of those sort of like hard pills to swallow. And so we decided to just, step back and regroup.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about what we were doing in our regrouping period and to acknowledge that we were very grateful to everyone, to
Yes.
Amy, to blanket, to
Selvin,
Selvin, to
Tanya,
Liz,
Roger,
yeah,
Interpret, Liz.
Interpret, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
To all of the HFR family that did support, did donate, did give, that we are eternally grateful to you guys. You guys were the light in our days, on the days where we woke up to those donations. Um, so yeah, we just wanted to circle back around and say thank you for that, but then also let you know what the close of our 2022 and beginning of 2023 was like and has been like, and where we are right now, and what HFR is going to look like going forward. We just kind of wanted to run by you guys, the family, and let you know what your team has been up to.
Yeah, and it's definitely not somber. I mean, it's definitely some good stuff. We're really happy about where we landed. I'm happy about the way things went, although, closing the crowdfund didn't feel good and it was uncomfortable and very clumsy, I'm sure, but I just didn't feel I myself, I didn't feel comfortable holding on to anybody's money just knowing that we didn't have knowing that we weren't going to reach that goal. I knew in my heart we weren't going to reach that goal at that point because we just didn't have it in us. I didn't have it in me. I'll take it on me. One of the other reasons I was struggling was because I knew we didn't have any services, and everybody kept saying, "Yo, you need to be uh, commoditizing or offering services," and we didn't really know what services we had to offer at the time, or that we could, conscientiously offer in good conscience and know that we could turn that around. We were trying to come up with plans for services, and we finally came up with them. So we'll mention those in a minute. But before that, I think we want to talk about the end of 2022, the yoga teacher training, because I think that's something we had to celebrate. Like you were
Yeah.
under the gun for the
Mm-hmm.
end of 22, which was pretty stressful, I think, but you handled that with such grace and poise, and I'm so proud of you still. You want to mention that?
Yeah, so when I stepped back after the crowdfund closed, I was crushed. I had a whole bunch of tears. And because HFR has been it was my brainchild, my dream child in 2019. And then we joined in co-founding in 2020. So for me, it felt a little bit like HFR dying a little bit. So that kind of sent me on my own journey of pain and disillusionment and needing to process in my own way. So after we closed that down, I full throttle put all my focus and energy into finishing yoga teacher training. I had been in training for 2 years, doing everything that we were doing HFR related whilst doing this training. Um, and going stop start as we traveled to do these things, paused yoga teacher training, came back, filmed episodes. So I was doing all of this in tandem with what we were doing to build the foundation of HFR as you know it. And so after we closed down the crowdfund in November, all the rest of my time, I don't remember if it was October or November, but all the rest of my time went to finishing the yoga teacher training because I told myself I wanted to be finished in 2 years. I made that commitment to myself and I was determined to keep it. So December 26th, 2022, I finished, and that is what my certificate says. So yeah, so I am now a certified 200-hour registered yoga teacher. And that was really, thank you. That was really important to me and to us because that is a huge part of what we want to be incorporating into this new phase of HFR, which is wellness, and specifically a concept that Shah's brought to us, Dragon has brought to us, which is 8D wellness. We want to be bringing all 8 pillars, 8 dimensions
Wellness.
of wellness into HFR, not just focusing on mental health or the arts, but all 8 dimensions. I keep wanting to say pillars, but all 8 dimensions of wellness, because that's what's at the core of what House of Flu Reflections is meant to be, is encouraging wellness in all aspects through community with a baseline of the arts. So getting that yoga teacher training certification was really important to me because I felt like that was going to help bolster and move us even closer towards our intention of having HFR having much more of a strong wellness focus, with having us have some credentials to go along with that, to be able to add into the things that we'll offer. So that was what the rest of my 2022 looked like in closing, and a little bit of the beginning of 2023 as I went through the closing out process with the school that I was a part of. And yeah, and then I took a little moment to just kind of exhale and digest the fact that I spent the last 3 months of the year really grinding and focused in an intense way that I am not accustomed to having to do very often. I'm a very lackadaisical, not lazy, but easygoing person. So that was really intense for me. It was very different for me to have to put that type of focus into finishing the yoga teacher training, but I'm grateful that I was able to. And now my focus has begun to slowly but surely return back to focusing on how we come back into focus with HFR. And part of that has looked like on Tuesdays, I've been hosting sound baths via my TikTok, and incorporating that aspect of the arts and wellness and part of the build back.
Yeah. And the yoga teacher training, I think that ties in so well with one of the offerings we had that we started to offer toward the end of the year last year too, Sanctuary Soul. And it's going to tie in, I guess, to some of the other offerings in the future. We don't have to announce all of them now, but I think it really does, like she says, it adds some certification, or what'd you say,
some credentials.
Some credentials to the offerings that she has. And I think I love that, and I appreciate the fact that you did that, and you really worked hard. There was a lot of energy, a lot of time put into that.
A lot of tears.
And
I'm a crybaby, y'all. I will cry when I'm happy. I will cry when I'm sad. I will cry when I'm overwhelmed. That's how I transmute. I am a crybaby.
But you did it under such, like, she didn't do it in the comfort of our home, which is even more impressive. I mean, staying with her aunt, and she was doing this she was doing all her yoga practice and training in this little small tiny foyer. And I mean, it was just amazing watching her dedication, watching her push, long hours, long days, and a whole lot of commitment that I don't think should ever be undershadowed, I guess, because you really did. It was amazing. And while she was doing that,
and thank you for your support. You supported me through it. You listened to me cry, and you encouraged me when I was ready to give it up.
I'm amazed. I know where I was in my headspace at the time. I couldn't have done a class and finished a class in that time. I don't see any way that I could have found the focus and dedication that you had at that time to do a task like that.
Yeah, so. The class was the reason why I was able to, like, when Aaron said do it because it must be done, like, that was like my Kung Fu Master Splinter moment. It was like, oh shit, yeah, like, it's not even an option at this point. I committed to myself. I've committed to others. It was a commitment I made to HFR. Like, it was a commitment on so many fronts. So it had to be done. So it wasn't an option.
It inspired me to made me believe in you even more, made me fall even deeper in love.
Aww.
But seeing her do that while she was doing that, I had to figure out what to do with myself too, because where I'd been pouring all my energy and all my time and all my focus, that, I mean, it was kind of like the rug was pulled out from under my feet. I didn't know what to do with myself other than continue to build and network and find community and new connections.
Says hi.
Of course, Zen says hi. He always has to show up when the camera's on. You always do this, man. I know I love you too. But it was a time for me to learn to put she was usually the host of everything. She was the
because he didn't want to be on camera. We'll throw that in there.
I did not, and I still don't love it, but I understand it now, and I'm no longer scared of it and apprehensive about it. So that's kind of a blessing in disguise, in that it helped me get comfortable being in hosting positions. So hosting a lot of Twitter spaces, co-hosting a lot of Twitter spaces,
Zooms. He is the phenomenal interviewer. He's a phenomenal host. He has beautiful questions. So yes, he definitely grew into his own. But I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
thank you, babe. I appreciate that. But yeah, it did teach me to kind of dig deeper into my well and to find out what else I had inside. And I did find um, a space that I feel a lot more comfortable operating from. That's engaging and it's a different form of doing what I was doing before we met, which is engaging with artists one on one and really like getting in and figuring out like, hey, where do you need help? Where can I contribute my skill set to achieving your mission? And I did that with NFT Voices. That's a community for um, NFT people in the Web3 space, found project founders, builders, artists. I took a somewhat a leadership role in the community and kind of drove the making sure that we scheduled our Twitter spaces and making sure that we kept our Twitter spaces up. I led Twitter spaces, our mental maintenance Twitter spaces every Saturday. I started doing Twitter spaces with King Mizzo and his Rap Heads community. Started helping him get some organization and some planning together in that community. I helped him get a new his initiative, his Color the Blockchain initiative, revived and back up and running. So I poured my energy into that. So now we're doing live streams every Saturday where we're supporting and promoting real world charities and introducing them to the world of Web3 and a new way of developing funding, way to understand those new worlds of funding, and also introducing that world to the charity. So the charity we've been focusing on right now is Blankets to the Streets, but we're not just focusing on her. We also have an initiative to get computers and resources to people in indigenous or marginalized communities to help them um, get introduced to the technology so that they can take advantage of the opportunities in the technology. I also met up and got connected through the mental maintenance space with a brother by the name of Enoch Kaz, who is heavily focused on helping adults with autism, adults who've been diagnosed with different various forms of
Neurodivergent.
neurodivergence. Thank you. I was trying to find a way to put that. You fixed that so well. But he popped up on one of the Twitter spaces last year. He asked me to co-host a space with him through NFT Voices, focused on neurodivergence, and we've been doing that all year. And I've signed on to do even more with him, helping him develop and get an unmasking program together for adults with autism and ADHD. I'm actually part of the pilot program because, as I've learned, there's a high likelihood that I may be neurodivergent, that I may be on the autistic spectrum, and there's a high likelihood that
I am as well. Yeah.
yeah. And through learning that, that has kind of been like an unlock code for me at least. Would that be the same kind of same for you? I think that kind
For
of helped.
clarity.
Yeah, clarity on
Like
what you're
some of
feeling.
the things, like going back to our struggles with the crowd fund and our struggles with organization with the HFR business as a whole, it kind of helped create some clarity and draw some light as to some of the struggles that I have just like across the board with certain things like task completion, focus, organization, follow through. It kind of made some of those things just make sense. It's like, oh, okay, it's not just that like I'm a terrible fucked up person who can't get anything done. There might
Yeah,
actually be like a scientific neurological connection to why I have a difficult time with these things. So,
that's putting it perfectly. That's
yeah.
that's the same thing. It's helped me learn to be more forgiving of myself and more gentle with myself when I can't do something that easily that should I think in my mind or I have thought in my mind should come easily. That most other
Mm-hmm.
adults would look at you and just like, why can't you just do this?
Yeah, and
And
I would think that was a big thing for me was I stopped looking at myself or berating myself the way I was berated by other adults and other people growing up.
yeah,
Like I stopped looking at myself as like, you really just can't get anything done. You really just are useless and for no reason. Because that
hmm
was the thing. You're just lazy and then there's no reason why you can't do what you're doing. You know, it's just you. You're just choosing to be a problem, and then sort of just getting affirmation of like, you're not a problem. You're not crazy. There's like actually stuff that's causing this to occur in you, and there's tools to help you.
that part. And that's why his unmasking program is such a big help. I just had another session last night. We do it every Sunday right now. It's a 6-week program. Um, he's asked me to help out with the program moving forward after this. So I'm excited about learning more about it and possibly getting a more concrete diagnosis. We did an autism test that you can find on a few of my channels, YouTube, Facebook,
Makes you sound like an
LinkedIn,
old
Twitter.
man.
The YouTube. Really?
Great.
But yeah, it did we took an autism test, and taking that test, with each of us taking the test, the results on this test, which, you know, it's an internet test, so I mean, you know, take it with a grain of salt, right? But the results for both of us came back like, yeah, chances are high that you're on the spectrum. And that, I didn't realize it, but for me that was like a relief valve. It really did help me be like, okay, look, you can go a little easier on yourself. You can learn how to work with this now. Now you kind of have a roadmap. If this is what it is, you have a roadmap at least to go learn more about it and learn how to work with yourself. So I'm appreciative for Enoch, and I'm appreciative for this whole path that we've been taking on. Had we been focused heavily on HFR and doing HFR stuff, maybe I wouldn't have had time to do that mental maintenance space and to take on this extra task with Enoch and
Speaking
go
of
down this path. What's up, Enoch? Peace. Go down this path where we'd learn about our potential for being neurodivergent and potentially on the autistic spectrum.
yeah. And so with him finding that out and doing this connection with Enoch, he's helped me, you know, lean into more of, you know, being open to learning more and understanding more and helping destigmatize too, because I grew up around a lot of neurodiverse and autistic children, and they were not treated well. And I kind of laugh at it now because I was chuckling with Shaw, my mom, saying that they might have known that I was also neurodiverse, and like their spidey senses were tingling because I used to attract neurodiverse and autistic children like a magnet growing up. And so now to potentially actually be that myself is just kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And
Hi, John Music.
John Music, what's up, brother? Peace. But yeah, man, we're just both very, very grateful for that. And I think that's helped us, kind of given us a little bit of this revival that we have right now. One of the things that we learned, that we're learning about with neurodivergence, especially autism, ADHD, is about the concept of executive function. And I'm going to pull up this chart here for anybody that's watching on the YouTube, on the
Come on,
Facebook,
Gray.
on the Facebook.
Come on, Gray.
And all that other stuff is, I think I'm gonna let you read this part because you do so well reading it to me. Is that cool?
Okay, yeah. So executive function. So for anyone that doesn't know what that is, we're just gonna kind of read through this chart, and hopefully that helps out. So it says the 8 executive functions. 1 being self-control, the ability to stop and think before acting. 2 being self-monitor, the ability to view and evaluate one's self. And 3, emotional control, the ability to manage feelings, to achieve goals and complete tasks. And yes, all of these things we be on the struggle bus with. Flexibility, the ability to adapt to changing conditions by revising plans or changing strategies. We actually have something that we didn't know that it falls under these executive functions of flexibility, but we had a term that we created for ourselves called switching tracks. And so when we would say, I'm struggling to switch tracks right now. And then as we've been learning about autism and neurodiversity, understand that switching tracks is really the executive function of being able to be flexible and to be able to shift and change or revise plans or change amid something. We both have a very hard time with being flexible to that kind of change if we're already in the midst of something, focused on something. And so learning that some of our struggles are actually legit and fall under executive functions. So that was flexibility. The next one is a task initiation, the ability to start and finish tasks without procrastinating. We both all aboard the struggle bus with that one. Organization, the ability to develop and use systems to keep track of materials and information. Working memory, the ability to use information held in memory to complete a task. And then planning and time management, the ability to create steps to reach a goal. So that's one. And then there is a chart that gave Shaw's brain some tingles. So we wanted to show you that one too.
Yeah, the little chart made it feel good to be able to see it, because one thing I often say is that I can know what to do, but putting that into action is where I get gummed up and the car stalls. Like, I can know what to do when it comes to handling all types of strategic plans and all this and that, but there are just certain steps where I just freeze and for some reason just can't make it to that next step. So this is helping me understand how that works, or how that happens, or why that happens. And now I just have to find systems and processes to mitigate that and deal with it, is what this is all helping me understand. So this is one of the reasons why I say this is a relief, understanding the potential for the high potential for me and us being on the neurodivergent or the autistic spectrum. It really does help us understand that there is a way. And one of those ways, which is something I'm learning through Enoch, is through building the right support systems that you need for that. So that's something we'll get to a little further down here. But we wanted to kind of talk about HFR a little bit more. We talked about us. We talked about where we ended last year. We want to talk about what we're going to do. We're going to be returning to doing artist touch again at some point. We've got some episodes in the can filmed. We still want to get those edited, but we have some prerequisites. We need to make sure that we handle some business first before we can do those things, because that is a significant time investment, and we need to be investing time into delivering products and services so that we can get some income, so that we can make sure that we stabilize ourselves and we can get out of operating in survival mode, which we've been doing since October?
August?
Well, actually before August, if you think back, because the AC died last year. Heat died over the summer, which is what led us to live with our aunt. And we decided we were in this emergency mode, or this survival mode for so long.
Fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah, and in that time, we said, we just got to stop doing what we're doing. So I had to stop doing the focusing on GRYSKLL episodes so heavily. We had to stop focusing on the artist touch episodes, and we had to focus on what's going to bring in money, because those things that we do are all pro bono, so to speak, right?
Not so to speak, they're pro bono.
Yeah, absolutely pro bono.
They have not brought in a dollar, and no one has paid for their artist touch episode.
Facts, no fiction, right?
Yeah.
And we also, in us going and trying to promote the crowdfund, one of the things that we heard everywhere was, you need to be offering solutions. You need to be offering solutions. And in my head, that turns into, you need to be offering services. We really struggled to figure out what services we could offer, because to be honest, doing photography, just simple photography, it's one of those things that's soul sucking, I guess, so to speak, right? And same for just doing simple music production. It's soul sucking. It really hurts the things that are our coping mechanisms. When things get hard for me, I can turn to music. But if I'm going through hell in some other way in life, and music is what I have to use to support myself, I'm not going to have that to turn to in those times when I need something to transmute, what we call transmuting the energy.
And we did open up to using my photography business as a form and way to bring in income, did the headshots offering and things of that nature. And again, the same issue that we had with gaining or maintaining traction with the other HFR things was marketing. It was the outreach, was getting the networking in and the eyes on us to be able to have clientele and things of that nature to work with. So yeah.
So we figured out that we have services. We figured out that we do have services we can offer. We figured out which services we could offer that we're comfortable offering, that we know we can reliably offer, and that won't negatively impact us health-wise and impact our drive to really build the dream and do something. We found different ways to pivot, basically.
Right.
So we've got a list of service offerings that you can check out on the HFR website. If you're in the market for, you go to HFR or houseoffluidreflections.com or hfrconnect.com. You now have a services and offerings tab. You've got the wellness offerings. Should I start there?
No.
Okay, we'll start on the services listing. All right, so we'll start on the services listing. And you see we've got photography and videography services up on the site now. We are available for headshots still. We're trying to figure out how to market that. We're available for half and full day photography and videography scenes where I do the BTS. She does her magic on camera.
Hey, Kareem.
What up, Kareem? Peace, peace, peace. So we've got those services on there. And of course, her love, her passion, the fine art, conceptual photography. So we've got an opportunity to do that. And then we've got video services that we're potentially going to add at some point in time. We're still kind of on the fence on whether we want to do videos because
it's on his shoulders, really. I do the photography. Videography is his wheelhouse.
All me. Yeah, and I'm actually working on building something with some other gentlemen, another team. I'm building up a videography team on the side that's not going to come under HFR. I'll talk about that more at some point, but I want to finish up. We have a meeting tomorrow night to talk about some of the next phases of that, and I'm excited about that, but that's something that's still in development. We've got 4 people that are absolutely on the team and a couple more. It's really, really dope what we're talking about doing. And this is another one of those things that I'm happy I've had the time to do all this networking and all that for since 2022, because I've really been able to find some people that I can really build some revenue streams with. So exciting things out there. We've got all those services. I've also got some services on my website, dragonspitchfork.com. I'm offering services like I'm going to try music production, some light video work. Why you said, oh, try is not in my vocabulary. I know I'm not supposed to say the word try, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna do it for a little while, see how it affects me, see if it affects me. If I don't feel good about it, skirt, I'm hitting the wheel, and I'm peeling up out of there. But I also have a service called Creative Wellness Coaching, which is something that I hope we're going to all offer together. We have another person that's going to sign on. It's part of this 8D wellness initiative. So there'll be some services from me, some services from Yanni in there, some services from somebody else I won't mention yet until we've got everything locked in. But we've basically saying we've got a number of services where we finally got together for solutions that will allow us to fund getting back to doing the Artist Touch and the GRYSKLL episodes and initiatives the way that we really want to do them and do them justice. So,
and also realizing that part of that is also going to look like onboarding people. Like, we realize we are not video editors. We are not bulk editors. We gave it our best, but that is somewhere where we need assistance. Like, it is fun for passion and for when we have a project that we're really in love with, like the fine art thing, like when we really do have a unique video to edit. But for the mass amounts of episodes that we do for each GRYSKLL and Artist Touch, it just became extremely overwhelming between the two of us to be doing that many photo and video edits for
free.
And not only for free, just like it was for free, and just the math, the amount of it, like, and the consistency was just like, even if you were getting paid, I don't think you wanted to be editing as many episodes as you were having to edit in that period of time.
I don't think I would have minded, honestly. If there was if the income was there, I don't mind editing. At least the GRYSKLL episodes. Now editing a whole brand new things, that's a whole different thing. If we're doing
okay, Enoch, sorry.
Oh, already not got you. We appreciate you, brother. We'll check it out for sure. Thank you. But yeah, there's some things that I could do if it's gonna pay the bills, absolutely. But there are also some things that are just like, all right, you need a team, or you need a little bit of balance for that.
And that was all I was trying to say, was we realized there's some pieces
of it, yeah.
We need a team for.
Like color grading, for example. I would love to have somebody to work with on editing to color grade, or somebody to maybe do basic edits and then let me come put the extra sauce on it. That would help create a workflow. And now there's a team so that we could possibly do that. And it's like you were saying. Like you were saying, we could use some help and some resources. And yes, I agree with that. We could definitely use some help, resources. We have some of the different types of help and resources written down here, right?
Yes. So at this point, as we were talking about this whole looking to generate funding, that was also something I spent a lot of the end of last year and this year doing, was grant writing, applying to different grants, during the hunting and the searching for different grants, and another part of figuring out how to garner income. But we also decided that we wanted to throw the lines out in the water anyway, before we're able to pay, just to see if there's anyone who wants to join as a part of what we are building, to give the support in these areas and walk with us to the place of being able to support via and create salaries and payments for people. So do you want me to do it or do you want to do it?
You feel more comfortable with me doing it? Is that what you asked?
No, I was just...
Okay, I'll let you do it.
Okay. So the roles that we're looking to have filled and have assistance with would be marketing specialists. We are looking for developers. Do you want to specify the kind of developers?
Yeah, software developers. I want to develop an app. I have some ideas for apps. I have some ideas for things that I want to do in the Web3 space that require some coding skills. And I've done a little bit in the past, but this is stuff that I think I'd rather have an expert, somebody who's passionate about how to do this stuff, because if this is done right, there's a lot of opportunities in the Web3 space and in the Web2 space. There are some opportunities to build some things for HFR, some opportunities to build some things for GRYSKLL, and a couple other communities and ideas that I have. So software developers would really be nice. Somebody who's also good, maybe not software developer, so to speak, but somebody who's good with 3D design would be helpful as well. Some 3D artist, somebody who's good with developing spaces, like in spatial metaverse spaces, would be nice to have as well.
And then business consultant, someone who can come on and be a part of helping us in that department.
Someone who can drive the ship.
Yes.
And who's focused, who has the time and the ability to focus and really drive the ship would be helpful.
Yeah.
Personal assistants.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Social media manager and a personal assistant, but specifically a personal assistant who has experience working with neurodivergent peoples or autistic peoples, because that is a very special and different and unique set of skills that is needed to support the kind of support that we are looking for. It would be more than just the standard personal assistant would be getting into. And so we're looking for someone who would be able to know that and work within that that realm.
I'm starting to understand why so many content creators go for getting a personal assistant at some point. And had we known this and understood this last year while we had the funds,
we would have gone that route.
And
that's what a lot of this has been about, is we spent the last 3 years shelling out money in all different directions, trying to learn how to do what we've figured out we need to do now.
Yeah.
We were on the road to learning these things. And the last ones were social media manager and video editor, which we just kind of ran through.
Yeah.
That's kind of been that.
That's been the path, man.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to get to this point where we understand what our needs are now. Because last year when I was in certain spaces and people were like, okay, well, what are your wants? What are your needs?
And we had no idea how to articulate it.
I'm not sure yet. I don't know what we need yet. Now we know what we need. So I feel much better. We're in a much better place this year. Felt like a hard lesson because, like she said, she had a bunch of tears. I had a bunch of frustrated nights, was just like, yo, what am I doing?
We both did. We both were just like, is this pointless? Have we just completely made the wrong investments? And
am I crazy? Are we crazy for even thinking about this? Have we lost our mind? Are we delusional? But if you've been watching my TikTok, I'm leaning into delusion now, because we've been able to see and look back and see But all of these delusional things we've been building
has gotten us.
have built. Yeah, we built a.
Like when we met, he used to make fun of me and say that I'm a fucking fairy. He would just be like, I don't know how you do some of the shit that you do, but he was like, you're just a fucking fairy. He was like, you say some shit and then the shit happens. And we kind of got away from that. We allowed ourselves to become disillusioned from that magic of life. And it's kind of returned to that. So I'm definitely back to fully embodying being a fucking fairy and knowing that, like, yeah, we can.
Really?
And everything is coming to us. And as a fucking fairy, like, yeah, leaning into that. Like, I used to get so upset when he called me a fucking fairy, but I'm like, no, like, I really am. I really am.
And I wouldn't say it maliciously. It was always jokingly, but my goodness. And you know what? It does feel good to realize, like, yo, we've been doing some amazing things, but we've been downplaying it because of money. And that's not a reason to downplay what you're doing. It's just,
like capitalism has literally been what has caused us to doubt the strength and the need for what we've been providing, and the fact that we've also been in these spaces learning about how POC people are beyond the shortest end of the stick when it comes to capital and funding, and how when it comes to startup venture capital, we're already at a disadvantage, so to speak, because of being POC, because we don't have that family, friends, startup capital that we can tap into because of systemic things that have caused that not to be able to be something that we can tap into. We don't have those wells because a lot of our communities don't have those wells to be able to give out from. So we've had to look and hunt into alternate ways to collect that capital without straight up having to go and get a 9-to-5, which would cause us to not be able to do and pour into the things that we're able to do. And because we both had our experience and our stint with 9-to-5 and nearly killed us both. And so we've been committed to not having to go back to that space unless we absolutely have to. And because we wholeheartedly believe in the things that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I realized that, this is my purpose. This isn't something I want to do. This is something I have to do. And I've wasted so much of my time in this lifetime running from my purpose, doubting myself, battling imposter syndrome, and not just leaning into and believing and like going hard. I lived on plan B. And that's not a way to live, man. That is not a way to live. Our lives are short. You get one life. It could be over like that. It could be over tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lie. It's something I say all the time. It could be over. It could all be over tomorrow. And if you haven't given your all to what you really love and what you're passionate about in your time here, I feel for you, man. It hurts, man. I'm realizing, like, yo, I could have been gone a few years ago without any of this happening, because I was doubting myself, because I was hurting, because I was traumatized, because I was just unhealthy mentally. This journey that we've been on has been helping me so much and has given me a whole new outlook on life, a whole new lease on life. And I'm in, man. I'm all in. I'm 1,000% in. What?
That's why the universe brought him a fucking fairy, because he was living on plan B and had to sprinkle the sauce.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's exactly why I needed her. I wouldn't have found my way to my passion and just peace within and self-love for the first time. I told a friend 5 years ago, I was like, yo, I just realized I never loved myself. Now I'm finally like, yo, self-love. Yeah, I'm actually starting to love myself. I'm really starting to really appreciate myself. I haven't been able to do that ever before in my life. So through her and through this relationship and this connection, I've definitely found that. And, like I said, I'm all in. I'm all in now.
And he's helped me bring structure to me and understand function and purpose and organization, because I was definitely the fairy that was just like, ooh, on a whim, all right, let's go do this. Like there's definitely been like half of our random trips to New York and other places have been because this fairy was like, I think we need to go be in New York, or I think we need to go to Florida, or I think we need to go to South Carolina.
I thought she was crazy on so many of these cases, but every time we come back with some valuable goals, some valuable lessons, and new things in our pack.
Awesome art.
All the time. And it's like, yo, no, we needed that. That was part of our path, and that was exactly supposed to happen. I'm like, she's helping me understand. I was in a conversation earlier today where I was telling one of the gentlemen that my experiences in my early 20s made me just completely cut myself off to the idea and possibility of anything in the realm of spirituality or spiritual. And by cutting myself off to the potential of that comes from tapping into your spiritual self and into energies and concepts that we can't necessarily prove with science, you can do a whole lot more. And I've realized I can do, and I have been doing a whole lot more because of that. So we have new initiatives that we're going to do to get ourselves back on track and to get back to building HFR, because now we've realized that what we were trying to build last year was kind of putting the cart before the horse, trying to build the what do you call it, the co-working space, and trying to bring physical artists into our space and build with them. We realized we need to do exactly what I've been doing, so to speak, for the past few months, which is networking and building real, genuine, meaningful connections with other artists. But we need to do it as HFR. Whereas before we were just kind of creating the connections, but not building
the follow through.
Yeah, the follow through, building on those connections.
Yeah,
the maintenance. So we've got a couple initiatives, new initiatives that we've been talking about for the past 2 months, I guess now, right? 1 or 2 months.
Maybe more than that.
Well, one of
You've
them.
been talking about, one of them for longer.
Yeah, one of them for longer. The other one I started talking about in December, I think. And that's the first one I guess was mentioned. That's HFR Connect. That is an initiative for us to actually build and maintain meaningful connections and community by doing something similar to Artist Touch, but on a much simpler scale. Artist Touch is a full-blown production, in-person production. With HFR Connect, it's a live stream. We've had a bunch of conversations with people on Zoom that we've recorded, and they don't get edited. But with us going to live stream, you have that conversation that night, that content is out there, that connection is established, and then we keep building on that connection. We build on connections with new individuals that we meet, new creators, new artists, new people who need rehumanizing. And we also circle back and catch up and give you updates on the community members that we may have had Artist Touch episodes with, or somebody that we may have connected with in this space before. Is there anything else about HFR Connect that speaks to you? Do you want to speak about your initial feelings on HFR Connect and kind of our path to here?
Or my initial feelings was just like we shared, having come off of finishing my yoga teacher training for 2 years and the last and really intense 3 months of it. The idea of anything consistent just sounded overwhelming for me and my executive function struggles. Like when he said, I was like, well, how often do you want to do this? Like once or twice a month. And he was like 2 times a week. And I basically fell out my damn chair. I was like, no, like I just came from spending like having 12-hour days, like sun up to sundown, like busting my ass to finish my yoga teacher training, that like the idea of anything consistent that I had to show up for and have energy for, like I just didn't have it. My battery was completely depleted. So at first I was like, I don't know if I could do it. I was like, I told you, once or twice a month. But as I've had time to breathe and to exhale, and as we've had more time to talk about how to better support our neurodivergent gifts, we're finding ways to be able to make it so like, okay, the days we have these HFR Connects, we're not having a bunch of other calls because I don't have the capacity, and finding ways to balance so that we can do this in a way that's healthy for both of us. So was that what you were looking for?
Not even looking for it. It's your true genuine story. I just wanted you to your genuine story, because these things aren't like, they seem simple, like you just get on a live stream, but we're people who have social batteries that are not like, we found that that's another trait of certain neurodivergent folks, is you don't have the capacity for a whole lot of social engagement because you get tapped and your battery gets drained a lot faster than other people.
And it's winter as well, and we're not getting the sunlight that we normally do. Like my social battery is a lot stronger in the warmer months in the summer, and in the winter when we're not getting a lot of sun and we're not being able to get outside as much, my social barometer drains very, very quickly.
Yeah, and she's the spirit of us. Like, so she spends a whole lot of time internal, doing things like meditation, yoga, doing a lot of reading, and those are things she needs her energy to be able to do.
I'm very introverted. That's the other thing. Like outside of talking to Shah, I talk to like 3 people real life. Like I talk to Shah, my mom, and our dog. That is like it. And then once a week, I talk to two of my closest friends. Like that is my social.
Yeah.
That is my social.
Your battery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had to come to understand that it's been hard for me to understand, but in understanding that and watching her, especially since she's gotten into writing, we didn't even mention your writing. Like
Well,
that's been
that's
so
coming
much.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's been so much of you, and we didn't even mention line for line on here. But I'm getting excited, right?
Another diverse storm.
Yeah, well, I thought about the writing and I got fired up because her writing is amazing, man. But because she's had the time to go inside and spend so much time internally. I've seen what kind of output she's had writing wise, and that writing is also translated into evolution for you in so many different ways, and just so many
Like we express
growth.
differently. Like he expresses very well with getting on, doing video, talking to people. I express very well writing it down. And then, you know, he's gotten me to get comfortable with like recording what I write down and sharing it like via TikTok and things of that nature. So we both express very differently. So like for him, showing up on video and just being able to dump it and get it out works a lot better versus me. Like I struggle to like the way my overwhelm and stuff works. Sometimes it's more difficult to communicate audibly first versus writing. And that's something else that we're realizing that I will likely do under HFR is there's a couple books I'm going to be releasing that are kind of the byproduct of the last 2 years experience I had with my yoga teacher training and the introspection that resulted from that. So we will be having some health and wellness offerings via these books as well. And just learning that our offerings can look very different as we build that work for our different presentations.
And you know what? It's funny because that's I guess a place where we're yin and yang, because whereas you can write a lot of that out, I struggle to write. But if I journal to a camera, like I have a whole bunch of stuff that I record that I never put out, but just me talking things out loud, I realize is my form of journaling, is my preferred or my best form of journaling next to making music, which I just haven't had the battery for lately because I'm doing all this other stuff that keeps me away from it, that taps my battery. So we're learning to understand our batteries, how our batteries work. So HFR Connect, we're now going to be doing that. Are we doing 2 a week? Are we still trying
Yeah,
to
we're gonna trial with 2 a week and see how I fare.
We're going to be very mindful and very considerate of how this affects her. We are not going to let her get over stressed, overexerted. We're not going to let her get tapped. We're going to be very mindful to be careful and ginger and take care of you, because we need you. You're the heart and spirit of HFR, and we now understand your role within HFR. Well, one of your core roles, some of your core roles, and how important they are. Through her doing all this writing and this introspection, she's helping me heal. She's helped me heal in a variety of ways and helped turn me on to and introduced me to a whole bunch of different concepts that have helped me tremendously. So these are things that we're going to be offering as HFR services at some point as well. I won't mention, you've got a new a service. Should we mention it?
I mean, you can. And I wanted to pause and say, we're trying to watch the comments too as well. Thank you, Enoch. Enoch said, it may not seem like it from the work that I do, but I'm right there with you, Yanni. Yeah, and it's beautiful. And you're helping hugely with the information and conversations you're having with Shah. They've definitely been very fruitful. And when he comes back and tells me about a lot of it, like I'm definitely excited to be in one of the next iterations of your program. I'm sorry I didn't have the capacity to be in round 1. But it's beautiful what you're doing. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. It's beautiful.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. And Steve the Voice, peace. What's up, bro? I see you, man. I see you. So HFR Connect coming within the next couple weeks. Hopefully we'll start next week. We may need a little bit more time, but I don't think so. I think we can get started next week, right? And we just have to schedule who our first couple people are going to be. So we'll talk about that. I've got a list of people already kind of written up that we'll go through and figure out how to prioritize and what makes sense. So we'll keep you updated on that. The other one is a lot of the networking I've been doing is in the Web3 space. And since we did her first episode, the episode of NFT Backstories, which tells you the story of her her NFT project, No Man's Land, which you can get on nml.loveyolandabree.com. Through creating that, I got the inspiration to connect with more and more people in this Web3 space, project founders, artists, communities, and tell the human stories behind these projects and behind this art. The whole HFR rehumanizing thing. I want to make sure, one thing I've noticed in the Web3 space is a lot of people get so caught up in talking about the tech, the profitability, and all the things that are outside of humanity. So I want to help bring humanity to the forefront in Web3 so that we don't forget the humanity. You know, hear a lot of talk about AI, all that stuff. But if we forget about the humanity, what's it all for? Our motto when it comes to Web3 is yes, Web3, but to make the real world better. And I want to make sure that we tell these important human stories or humanizing stories in the Web3 space, while at the same time promoting the projects and the communities and the technologies that we resonate with, that are, you know, not too, I want to say, for lack of a better word, damaging to the planet, damaging to society, socially damaging. So I've got a long list of people that I want to do episodes on, and I'm ready to start scheduling them. I've already got the intro ready. I'm ready to rock. It's just it's a matter of scheduling there as well. But we wanted to talk about that and share that, and that's going to be just like HFR Connect. It's going to be live streamed so that we don't have that overhead of editing and all that afterwards. It's just going to be a quick hour, maybe less, depending on who I'm with and, you know, what their social battery's like on the day. But it's going to be Web3 backstories. And then the other series that we have, sorry, what's up here?
I was trying to see what that said.
That's a notable mention for the last.
Okay.
Last,
very last. The other series is what?
The last series, Line for Line.
Oh yeah, so the last series is gonna be Line for Line, and you explain it better.
Do I? Since she has been doing such a dope job with this writing, and since I'm so just like, she really does. Not only does she do an exceptional job writing, she does an exceptional job of listening to and paying attention to other people's writing and interpreting that work, or, you know, giving credence and love to the different pieces and portions of that work. So she really connects with other writers, but she doesn't often get a chance to connect with them verbally and one-on-one. So Line for Line will be a series where she is the lead, will have my support and the support of one other writer, hopefully, who we've talked to, that I believe is going to come on board with us and showcase a different writer each week. She'll get a chance to share a piece of her writing. But I don't know about this part. Do you want to explain this part better? Because I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, so we'll be bringing on a different art writer each week, and the writer will either be a poet, a writer as an author, or a musician, so lyricist or a songwriter. And we'll be having, literally, as the title states, Line for Line, breaking down these different one-liners or whole pieces in some cases, and getting the breakdown and the backstory on these stories, and what is more of some of the literary devices, and just the artistry of it, and the breakdown on it. So that's gonna be like
it's gonna be an exciting thing. I'm excited because I love when somebody, like, we've had a couple episodes of GRYSKLL where some of the artists would come after we finish the song, they'll break down. Q did a beautiful job with it, with American Cursive, as a matter of fact. He broke down line for line every bar in his song, and you realize that there's a whole lot more to these lyrics than meets the eye with a lot of these artists. So we want to take time to appreciate these lines and really celebrate the art of writing in different ways. Is that hit it well enough?
Yeah.
Who's talking perfect over there? Oh, Soul, what's up, Soul? Peace. Good to see you, babe. Outside of Line for Line, those are the 3 series, a live stream series. And then from there,
we've started this initiative, and it was actually an idea that Shah had with a few other compatriots, compadres, which is Fund the Founders, which brings us to our close. So the idea of Fund the Founders, do you want to kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, Fund the Founders is an idea that came up about 2, 3 weeks ago. We had another founder that we've been connected with and working with who was under duress, was under the gun, needed to come up with some cash fast. As a founder, like many of the founders I've come in contact with, most of the founders that I work with are honestly, especially POC. Actually, all of them are POC. Um, they give, but they don't receive, and they give to the point that they suffer. Their own personal lives suffer. This founder that we supported 3 weeks ago, or that we started this for 3 weeks ago, was facing a rent crisis. Didn't know where rent was going to come from. Was a few $100s short. We jumped. Yanni and I were out and about that day, and I was like, "Yo, what if we just started an initiative called Fund the Founders, and we help raise the money to get this rent?" We raised the money for that rent and got it that night, and we did it on a live stream. We created the logo while we were streaming live, which was a fun event. And our people, the other people who are all about supporting this, the Color the Blockchain team, Mizzo, Al Backwards, Demo, Miguel, we had Enoch jump on, Soul Librarian jumped on. We all just got on that live, is a Twitter space, and we just talked about why it's important to support and fund founders. And we talked about a few other things too. We just had a good time hanging out. But we raised the money for that founder, and we realized that we should be doing this for a whole bunch of other people who need help, who won't ask for help, because most founders will not ask for help. They just want help for their initiative, but they sacrifice themselves. And we've been doing that ourselves for the past 3 years. And we realized that there are a whole bunch of people out here like this. We need some way to make sure that people like us don't have to keep suffering, because once we suffer, the causes we stand for and that we support suffer. So
we are launching our own Fund the Founders campaign. So there will be a crowdfund that you can support us as we continue to pour ourselves into our initiatives, into HFR, into Color the Blockchain, into Fund the Founders, into all these different things, so that we can continue doing the work that we do. We'll be creating our own new crowdfund, and this time it will not be through the same domain. It will solely be where you can give love donations, give funds, as we continue to pour into these communities and continue to do this work, continue to offer our services and build, because we 110,000% believe in what we're doing. And so we're aligning ourselves with these causes that we're supporting and acknowledging that, like, yeah, we're founders that need to be funded and supported as well, and that we're open to it. And that's been a part of our self-love journey too, is acknowledging that we deserve it, and that it's okay, and that it's okay to receive help. It's okay to receive without the idea of that you have to do something in exchange for it, but that it is okay sometimes to just be able to receive, especially when all you've done is give.
And it's not a mark of shame to need some help. I think that's something that I've struggled with, is where I've come from. You don't or the way I was raised, you're looked down upon if you need a handout. And I don't look down on anybody that needs a handout, but
and even thinking of it as a handout, like even the negative connotation of that terminology in and of itself.
Because we definitely are putting in work. We may not be putting in some work that benefits the person who's providing the funding, but we're definitely doing social good. We're definitely providing some form of social impact, and we've been doing it for years. And we're just getting to the point, or I'm at least coming to the point that I'm understanding that, yes, I should be taken care of so that I can keep taking care of others.
And to be the baby anarchist, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for capitalism and the the system that we exist in. But anyway,
tangent. Squirrel. So yeah, we're doing a new crowdfund. We'll definitely put you up on that. But until the new crowdfund is up and running, we could definitely use support still right now. You can find all the different ways you can contribute to us. Obviously, we're ready to work. So if you want our services, or if you want any of our products, we've got our photography and videography services. Obviously, we've got our merch. Although my PayPal's a little short and the merch needs a little top up so we can get that. So once I get that top up, the merch sales will start funneling through again. And it's a $40 top up so that the merch sales will start going through again. And we also have ways that you can donate. You can donate regular money or crypto. You can go to the website. Let me pull that up on the page. If you go to houseoffluidreflections.com and go to, where is that, baby?
About us.
So go to About Us and
just go to housefluidreflections.com/ways you can support.
ways-you-can-support.
I didn't think about that. It automatically does that. I always got to take the dashes out. I don't know why it does that.
But you can see on the thing. If you go to houseoffluidreflections.com, hover over the About Us menu, scroll down to ways you can support.
I'll make it simpler. And if you go to the links in our bios, there's a tab that says ways you can support. So that's a little bit easier too.
Okay. Hey, it works.
And the link tree in our bio, the button that says ways you can support.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Perfect. So on the House of Fluid Reflections bio.
Link tree, yeah.
Okay. So, and what's the link tree for HFR?
hfr.com/link tree.
It's
been a long day, guys.
It has, and she's put in a lot of work on this. So there you go. houseoffluidreflections.com/link tree.
Okay, so that one will say ways you can support. I forgot to change that.
Okay, so there'll be the second button under there will say ways you can support. That'll be the easy button for getting there.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, we'll catch it. You did a beautiful job, though. You put in a lot of work, baby.
Thank you.
You did. Just celebrate your hard work. This website is amazing.
Thank you.
But under there, you can see there are 3 different ways you can donate that we would really appreciate now if you can donate. There's PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. You can hit.
We're trying to keep the internet on.
Yeah. Actually, internet gets cut off tomorrow. So we may be working from the library for the next few days if we don't get funding tonight. Either way, we're ready to work, man. We're ready to grind. So if you can help top up the PayPal, get us $40 in the PayPal, that can get it so the merch sales flow again. If you hit the Cash App or Venmo, once we get enough, we got to raise $215 in order to keep the internet up or to turn the internet back on. You can also buy one of our NFTs besides the donations. Pitchfork pieces, that's my NFT project. I've got my first Pitchfork piece, which is Tai Chi Arithmetic, featuring none other than the person who is the reason why we're doing all this, which is why I picked her first. It's the first time we went out with our cameras together. We went to Brookside Gardens and we were just randomly shooting. I was just practicing with the camera because that's why we met. Was I needed somebody to help me learn how to shoot and how to get better with the camera. Fortunately, I was able to put that footage with an instrumental of mine called Tai Chi Arithmetic, and it's a really sentimental piece, and there's a whole story behind it. So check out the piece if you want to get a digital collectible, get your first NFT. If you need help buying it, I will walk you through it. Just let me know, DM me. I'll get on a Zoom with you and we'll walk through buying it together. Or you can Cash App me, I'll buy it for you, or I'll send it to you and I'll create your crypto wallet for you, all that. There's so many different ways we can do it. Just talk to me. Mm-hmm. And then there's No Man's Land, Yanni's first NFT collection. Right now, they're not listed as for sale on the website anymore, but you can make an offer on there if you want. Or if you're interested in one, ping me. I'll work out a way to get one in your hands. We're also looking at new blockchains. These were both minted on the Ethereum blockchain. We're looking at going to the Cardano blockchain for sure. That's the social impact. That's known as the social impact blockchain. So it's the place where more people like us, people who are working for social good, live on the blockchains. And then there's another one that a friend of mine has put me on to that I may be going to as well, called Multiverse X. That's someplace we may put it. We're looking for a home blockchain, so we're going to experiment and play around with a couple more. Then you can also donate different forms of crypto. You can donate Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, Elrond, aka Multiverse X, or Cardano. All of the addresses are all on that website, houseoffluidreflections.com/linktree. Hit the second button. That'll take you to this, and you will be ready to rock. Anything else, baby?
No, I think we did great. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, so we got started late, but we needed to. We really needed to make sure we were fully awake and ready to do this justice. Had to give ourselves some grace because it was a very long day. We both worked very hard today and worked very hard yesterday, the day before, every day we are grinding, we are putting in that time, and Yeah, it's time for us to receive the fruits for our labors, man, so that we can keep doing this. And we want to make this easier. We should not be stressing about money while we're doing what we're trying to do. We actually realize that there is a way to do this, and we're ready to do it, especially when we get the proper support, and that's human support in the terms of effort from other humans and monetary support. Any other forms of support I'm forgetting about? No, battery tap. Okay, time to shut down. But one last thing to mention, we will have our first episode of GRYSKLL focused on GRYSKLL. It's our initiative for kids and education for kids. It's specifically focused on education for kids. We're going to be talking about that this Wednesday. And my man Enoch is going to actually be on this. If you want to meet Enoch, it's a perfect chance for you to meet him this Wednesday, 8 p.m. We will be going live on all the GRYSKLL channels, and you'll also see this streamed on the Dragons Pitchfork channel. So you'll see it on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of that. But before we shut down, I just want to check with anybody on the streams. Do we have any questions, any thoughts from anybody on the streams before we shut down? I want to make sure we say thank you to everybody who stopped through. That's John Music, Enoch, Kareem, Zoe the Instrument Being, Steve Anderson, that's Steve the Voice, Soul Librarian, absolutely Soul. Thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate your support. You're always there. Anybody on the tickies?
None of the names that I know how to read. So shout out to everybody who tuned in on TikTok.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all for coming through. And sorry if we don't see you on the other platforms. I'm not that adept at using this thing yet. So I don't know how to read comments. Go check the comments on all these other platforms. But anybody that watched, anybody that's donating, we appreciate you. You will get personal thank yous. Absolutely. Watch for the full crowd fund. But in the meantime, donate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We love you, and peace.
Peace, love, and all that good stuff.